So I just started the live stream and I was about to sneeze. Listen, guys, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. This is a World War III warning. Keir Starmer is demanding British boots on the ground in Ukraine. Now, this is not me making this up, ladies and gentlemen. This is an article from a couple of days ago. And listen, guys, I'll put my hands up. I missed this one. I really did. I missed this one. So Keir Starmer 3 days ago came out and he is demanding British boots on the ground in Ukraine, opposed to whatever Putin says. Now, look, guys, I think if you live in the United Kingdom, and certainly if you've been watching my channel, you guys know what's coming. Yes, in fact, let me put the chat on, actually. I always forget to do that. You guys know exactly what's coming. I've been telling you the steps. I've been talking about the steps that are coming. Yesterday, we were talking about conscription coming to the United Kingdom, how I think, and in my professional opinion, I think that's going to be announced in February. Yes, I did, good sirs. I said that yesterday, and I said, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. I think conscription is going. Let me reword this. Let me reword this. Some sort of military service is going to be announced in February. Now, it might not be conscription. It might not be mandatory military service. They may frame it as something else. They may frame it as, I don't know. Keir Starmer's a slippery one. He may frame it as a few things. But basically, what they're going to need to do, I believe, in September. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to lie to you. I've been on the brandy. I have. I've been on the brandy. Right? I've not had a YouTube video banned yet for my bad language or for my diverse opinions. But who knows, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe it's going to be tonight. Maybe I'll get this live stream banned. Then where do we go? Then where do we go? I think I'll just be streaming on X or something. But Keir Starmer is, and this is, look, guys, the article here is from The Telegraph, and this was 25th of November at 8:21 p.m. I totally missed this one, guys. It went over my head. So this is the headline from The Telegraph. Starmer demands British. Why don't I just read the article instead of thinking I know what the article says? Starmer demands British boots on the ground under Ukraine peace deal. So that's the headline. Now, I'm going to unpack that and tell you, like, what... I'm going to tell you where this leads. I mean, there's two options now. There really is, guys. There's only two options. There's only two options regarding Ukraine. Equally, on the other note, guys, if you are in the United Kingdom right now and you have the capacity, I would say get out now if you can. Well, this guy, what's his name? Hutchins? Is it Jeff Hutchins? Peter Hitchens, not fucking Hutchins. Peter Hitchens dropped a video earlier and he's saying to people in the United Kingdom, get out now if you can. And look, guys, I'm at a crossroads right now. I'll be honest with you. I'm at a crossroads. I've never worked the United Kingdom. I've been in the military. I was in the military when I was 16. I joined literally. When I left school, I went straight to the military. I had the 6 weeks holidays and then I left, and then I joined the military. I got out of the military. I went and worked for the British Embassy in Baghdad. I did. I spent like 5 years there or something. I then went and worked in Ukraine for like 10 years and I still go back there as much as I can. So I've never worked the United Kingdom. All my knowledge experience is international. It is, guys. I'm like an international man of mystery that's drank far too much brandy this evening. I'm not going to lie, guys. I've drank far too much brandy. But let me share this video with you guys real quick, and then I'll jump on and get the chats. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, because this may be my last live stream. Listen, I understand a lot of people are trapped in the United Kingdom. I'm going to come on to that. I'm going to get onto that, mate. Because I do understand that. And look, guys, you guys have seen my character arc, right? You guys have seen my character arc. So when I first started doing these live streams, I was like, listen, guys, get out now because nothing good's coming. And now I'm in the opinion of like, okay, if you get out now, where are you going to go? At some point, you need to draw a line in the sand and say, look, Here and no further, bitches. We're going to take you to the candy shop. So let me share this video by Peter Hitchens. I've not seen the whole video, but let me share this real quick, and then we'll give some commentary. But I agree with SG. I agree with S. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I agree with SG. Simon Gerard, I think his name is.
Do tell people to leave the country if they can, but that's an app. Yes, I do tell people to.
So this is a video from Peter Hitchens. I disagree with him on a lot of the stuff he says, like pretty much all of the stuff he says. I watched the first like 20 seconds of this video and I thought, yeah, I'm going to share that and I want to give you guys my real-time reaction.
Yes, I do tell people to leave the country if they can, but that's an important detail. The if they can bit, it's getting harder and harder to get out of here.
Absolutely, guys. It's getting harder and harder to leave the United Kingdom. I've heard echoes of an exit tax. I've heard all sorts of crazy things. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the bottom of the bottom right now. We had, I think it was 16,500 millionaires leave the United Kingdom, like the year up until June, I think it was. I might be slightly wrong on that. If you want the actual figures, go check out my live stream earlier on this morning. I shared that with you. What I'm not mistaken on is when those millionaires left, they took with them, this is just the millionaires, they took with them 91.8 billion US dollars. Obviously, they took it in pounds, but it would equate to US dollars. Now, if you can get out of the United Kingdom, he's saying get out if you can. I know a lot of people cannot get out of the United Kingdom, so I am gonna address that as well today, guys.
At least because people in foreign countries have begun to realize what modern Britain is like. They've begun to spot what most of us already know, that nothing works. Our schools are useless. Our universities are even worse, that we're not training people to be any use at doing anything.
This is where I stopped it, guys, all right? And I just want to give you guys that context. And he is absolutely right. Nothing works in the United Kingdom. Our schools don't teach. Our NHS does not make people better. We don't train people to be contributors. We train people to be consumers. Fucking hell, that was deep, wasn't it? That was deep. I need to have more of this brandy, guys. I need to get on more of the brandy XO, which means extra special. Extra old, sorry. Now, when you train people to be an entrepreneur, when you train somebody to be an entrepreneur, when you train somebody to be a wealth creator, you run the risk of that person questioning your authority. You do. When you train people to be consumers, when you teach people to be consumers, when your education system leads people to being consumers and nothing more, listen, guys, all you can ever amount to is being a little consumer. Oh, okay. You're never going to question authority. That's where we are right now, guys. And we really are sliding into dystopia. We're in dystopia. People just don't realize it.
We're very badly governed, that we don't know how to run anything. Why should they have us? If you want to get out, by all means try, but don't ask me where you should go. Don't assume before you try going that everybody will want you. Get some qualifications, learn to speak a language. But the real problem is this. I'm not telling people to get out so they can have nicer, better, comfier, more prosperous lives. I'm saying get out while you can, before this country becomes impossible to live in and impossible to escape from. The way in which our politicians behave, their incompetence, their inability to understand what's going on, their incredible willingness to spend money we haven't got, their refusal to face any of our major problems are leading.
She's got the cheapest poppy you can get.
So the decay of what was once a major civilization. You think it'll just carry on being an inhabitable place forever? You'll be surprised. And people also say to me, well, why don't you go? I don't go because I'm 74. It's too late for me. I can't go somewhere else and make a living there. And I don't believe you should go to somebody else's country without being able to support yourself. That may not be the case with you. That's all I'm saying. Get out while you can.
So he really hit a nail on my head. You know, he really hit a nail on my head when he was saying that, because listen, guys, you guys know I'm 50. I used to think the only thing that's keeping me in the United Kingdom right now is the girls at school. But I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know where we're going with this. It's absolutely insane what's happening right now, and nothing good's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Like, imagine where. Listen, you know, I actually think I remember saying this. In fact, my brand is in the house. I've got some half fermented beer, and I've got some unclear beer. Have I got a glass? There's a glass up there. Can I get that? Can I get the beer before? Do you know what? Let's go with this. So, look, guys. I'm just thinking of this now in real time. I can remember, like, last year saying to you guys, things will get worse, and we will be next year looking at fucking hell. I remember saying this. I remember next year. You know, I remember last year saying to you guys, this time next year, we will look back and think, wow, things were good back then. And guys, I'm saying it to you again. We are going to look back next year at this year. I promise you, as shit as things are right now, we're going to look back at things this time next year. We're going to look back at this year and think, Jesus, you know, things weren't that bad actually, were they? At least we're allowed to drink as much water as we wanted. At least we're allowed to breathe as much air as we wanted. At least if we went to the gym, we weren't getting a carbon tax on our fitness. Because those things are, I'm not taking anything out of the equation, guys. I'm not taking it out of the equation. Right, okay, I get this. Listen, IO, I don't know what this name is. J6er, I don't know what this name is. I-O is saying, I hate this talk, stand and fight, cowards leave, we don't need you, piss off, don't let the door hit you on the fat arses. I understand this, you know, I do. I understand this. I'm assuming you don't have children. I understand this, you know, I do. I understand this, and I am absolutely torn. I'm absolutely torn, guys. Okay, I'm absolutely torn. I'm absolutely torn between this. You know, I understand that people will want to leave. Imagine if you are a pacifist and you've got no fight in you. And you've got a business, and all your numbers and all your money is numbers on a screen. And I totally get it, guys. I totally get it. You know, I totally get it. You know, Red Knight is saying we will have a reform government by this time next year. Things are going to be better. Okay. Okay. The last time I bet someone money on the live stream, I got banned, all right? So I'm not going to bet anyone again. But we ain't going to have a new government, guys, until 2029. That's the system. And even with reform government, I don't think people understand what a government actually means. Like in the United States, they can choose. In the United States, they can choose a president. That president does have power. That president can sign executive orders. Here in the United Kingdom, we don't have that. We have a system where we vote for a political party. No, we don't even vote for a political party. We vote for a local representative. Those local representatives have to form a majority. That majority has to form a party. That party has to elect a leader. Obviously, this is, you know, not normally already done. But once that leader has been elected, they're not the president. They can't sign executive orders. They don't have executive power. They have parliamentary procedure. And in parliamentary procedure, they have to vote on any bill that's passed. So, for example, if in the United Kingdom, Nigel, let's just go. Nigel Farage is prime minister now, and he's got a majority in parliament, you know, and they say Nigel Farage comes up and he says, right, we are going to get rid of all Somalians. We're going to get rid of all Pakistanis, all Bangladeshis, all Indians, all Eritreans, all Congolese, all French, you know, he would write a what would he write? He would write I think it's a bill. I might be wrong, guys. He would write a bill basically. That bill would then be put under scrutiny and questioning from all the other politicians. It would then go to a vote, and if it passes, the ayes have it. Aye, the nays have it. You know, so we don't have the same system as they do in the United States, but nothing's happening until 2029 anyway. Nothing's happening until 2029. 116 Nibbles with a fantastic picture of a tabby cat with a hoodie. He's saying it's the same hostage situation with passports and border controls, even if you leave. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are on right now, we are talking about an urgent World War III warning. Well, I say urgent, it was 3 days ago. Keir Starmer has been demanding boots on the ground in Ukraine. And look, guys, this is not me making this up. I'm not throwing this out there. This is from an article. You guys can read this for yourself. I'm not going to share it because there's ads everywhere. But you guys can read this for yourself. Starmer demands boots on the ground under Ukraine peace deal. And this was an article released on the 25th of November, 2025 in The Telegraph. It's not me, guys. It's not me. This is an article in The Telegraph. Now, I'm going to speculate here a little bit and give a little bit of my inside information on what we know from this. So first of all, actually, I'm going to, before I get onto this, I'm going to just really quickly for like 30 seconds. I was watching a podcast with, I don't know if it's a podcast, if it's just two people, but I was watching an interview basically. I don't know whether it was Piers Morgan interviewing, what's his name? Tucker Charlson? What's his name? Tucker Charlotte? What? No, that doesn't sound right. Tucker? What's his fucking name? Tucker. He's got curly hair. He does the things with, there's the Lord of the Rings memes with him and Alex Jones. Jesus Christ. Tucker Carlson. Jesus Christ. Got it in the end. I don't know whether it was a podcast or whatever. I don't know who was interviewing him. It was a conversation between Tucker Carlson and Pierce. I was going to say Pierce Brosnan and Piers Morgan. Now, one of the things that Tucker Carlson said to Piers Morgan was, I don't know where they was going with this, but Tucker Carlson said to Piers Morgan, he said, so when did Germany attack Britain? Was it before? And he's saying, what do you mean? He said, well, did Germany attack Britain first? So Britain entered the war? And he's like, no, Britain entered the war because Germany attacked Poland. And you know what? When he said that, I was like, yeah, that's a bit weird, isn't it? Like, it's a bit weird. If you think about this whole thing, the Second World War I'm talking about now, like Britain declared war. Look, guys, I wasn't there on the ground. History is written by the victor. So the reality is we don't really know what the Germans were going through. But history is written by the victor. So we are taught at school that X, Y, and Z was going to happen. Now I'm looking at a similar situation with Ukraine, with Europe, with Poland readying, Germany readying, and I'm thinking, are we just all going to have a war anyway? Have we all just agreed tacitly that we're going to have that World War III is inevitable? And I do think we have, guys. I do think we have all just agreed tacitly that World War III is inevitable. And all these little negotiations and peace deals and little talking points, I don't think it means anything. I think everybody in Europe, even the Americans, the Americans have already decided they're not going to get involved. The Americans ain't playing with this shit. They're done. The Americans are done, ladies and gentlemen. The Americans don't want none of this. Ladies and gentlemen, I said to you guys yesterday that there would be conscription announced, or maybe not conscription. I need to keep caveating that. Yesterday on the live stream, I said to you guys that I think conscription, not conscription, but mandatory military service, an uptick in military service, social military service, something basically where they're going to get people and encourage them into the military. And I do think it'll be an adventure for a lot of people. I do. I think that's going to be announced in February. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are joining for the first time, if you've not done so already, make sure you hit that button down below. No, not that button, you weirdos. Not that button. The other button, the subscribe button, yeah. And the bell notification so you guys know when the when I drop a new video, which is every morning at 10 and every evening at 8. Jules Cartwright is saying, do you know why the US got involved in World War II? Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so no, I'm told that the United States got involved in World War II because of Pearl Harbor. If you've got some insight on that, then, you know, throw it out there. But as far as that, that's what I'm told. But when Tucker Carlson, when Tucker Carlson said that, I was like, oh, that you know what, right? Because I'm seeing right now, I'm seeing 100% that the Russians cannot make it to the United Kingdom at all. They can make it to France. They're not getting over the water. They're not getting over that water, guys. I promise you, the Russians are not getting over the water. And this is when people ask me all the time, Sean, are we going to get attacked by the Russians? Sean, are the Russians going to... No. The attack from the United Kingdom comes from asymmetric warfare. It comes from non-conventional warfare. It comes from grey warfare. It comes from paid criminal gangs setting fire to substations. That's the real threat to the United Kingdom. Stephen is saying, Ukraine government in collapse. Right, listen, guys. If you guys can remember a couple of weeks back, listen, you guys that were you guys that have been following me for a while, can you remember a couple of weeks back how I said to you guys, I said there's a scandal about to break in Ukraine? Guys, can somebody put it in the chat that can remember me saying that? I don't know how many people are watching at the moment who've watched me for a while. I think it was either last week or the week before. We was talking about Ukraine, and I said to you guys, I said, listen, ladies and gentlemen, there is a scandal about to break in Ukraine. I did. I know I said it because I was told it from my contacts in Ukraine. And they were like, listen, Sean, there's a massive scandal about to break. Well, it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, today, a massive scandal hit Ukraine, and the Ukrainian government has been hit with an absolutely swizzle. As the, I think it's, who is it? What's his name? Turkov? What's his name? What's his name? I've got it on. Somebody sent it to me as a text message. He says, Sean, he's finally gone. I can't remember. Basically, it's one of Zelensky's top aides. He's resigned. Excuse me. He's resigned under. Basically, he had his office raided. I think it was this morning, or it might have been yesterday morning. I mean, I knew this was coming a while ago. And basically what's been happening is, do you know what? I don't even care about too much brandy. Right. I'll tell you what's really been happening. I'll tell you right now, guys, what's really been happening. Right. Don't listen to the news. Listen to me. So everybody in Ukraine, they all thought that the corruption, they all thought that the misappropriation of funds was going to be through the military, military sales of rockets, bombs, tanks, planes, trains, automobiles, 5.56, 5.45, 50 cal, or 12.7 millimeter, whatever you guys want to call it. So that's where everybody was looking. The real misappropriation of funds, allegedly for speculation purposes and for entertainment purposes only, the real misappropriation of funds was the repairs to the energy structure, the energy infrastructure. So allegedly for entertainment purposes, Zelensky's mates all started companies that just automatically did energy refurbishment. They could go in there, they could refurbish energy plants, they could refurbish substations, and nobody was questioning the amount of money they were taking. And the allegedly, ladies and gentlemen, for entertainment purposes only, the Ukrainians were just asking money for, they're saying, look, the energy's turned off, we need more money. And nobody was questioning that money. It's like a little trick that we used to play when we was in, when I used to work in Baghdad. I don't know why this happened, but our food bill never used to get audited. Nobody ever used to audit our food bill. And we understood that nobody used to audit our food bill. So we would bill like $200 for a bottle of soy sauce. Nobody would even question it. The bottle of soy sauce was like, I don't know, $12 or something. You would send these invoices in, and the customer would, the client who's paying the bills, they would never question it. So I never did this, guys. I was never in charge of the budget. But I do know that this happened. So when people understand that certain things are not being questioned, they just rip the arse out of it. The Loop is saying the assertion that Ukraine is the most corrupt country in Europe is false. According to recent data, okay, so what country is the most corrupt country in Ukraine? What country is the most corrupt in Europe then? What is the most corrupt country then? Because, I mean, look, guys, I'm not going to... Listen, let me be clear. All right? I am pro-Ukraine. I think that the Ukrainians should be given the means and the tools to defend themselves. I do. I think this could have been done. The Russians could be over. It could have been over like 2 years ago. I'm pro-police. I'm pro-military. I'm pro-rule of law. I think people should work hard and pay their taxes. I do. That's how I think society should run. So when I give you guys these, when I give you guys this information, when I give you guys this speculation, I'm not from, I'm not from this, this like the right of politics where no money anywhere. I do think, that countries need supporting. Why pro-Ukraine? Okay, so why am I pro-Ukraine? So first of all, I've got friends who live in Ukraine who I class as family. That's the moral reason. The other reasons are if we have a world where we just accept that might is right, and we accept that if you're a bigger country and you want to take a part of a smaller country, it's totally fine. We can't have that. As a planet, we just can't have that. It's not something that you can have. So that's on the macro. Let's have a rewind. Let's bring this down to the micro. Imagine that your next door neighbor took part of your garden. All right, your next door neighbors just move their fence 2 feet onto your garden. All right, just imagine that. And you say, "Yeah, mate, you need to move that back." And your neighbor says, "No, we're not doing that." And he starts throwing glass bottles at your house, and then he moves it another foot. So you phone the police, and then the police come out and they say, "Well, if you want him to stop throwing bottles, you've got to let him have your garden." And you say, "Yeah, but that's my garden. Like I've had that like 30 years. That's my garden. This is my house. That's going to devalue my house, and that's my garden." And then the police say to you, "Yeah, but if you want him to stop throwing bottles at your house and smashing your windows, you're going to have to let him have your garden." And you're like, "Oh, right. Does that seem fair? Does that seem fair to you guys?" It's just, I totally understand. Listen, guys, we are heading to a situation in the United Kingdom, in the West, where it's going to look like very soon we are going to have to face up to the Russians, fisticuffs, mano a mano, 1 versus 1. Well, it's not going to be 1 versus 1 at all, is it? One of the things when I listened to Keir Starmer demanding boots on the ground in Ukraine, sorry, I said I was going to unpack this. Okay, so what they're saying is, what Keir Starmer and the British government are saying is they want peacekeepers on the ground in Ukraine to enforce a ceasefire. Okay, right. Just listen to those words. Right, listen to what I just said. Enforce a ceasefire. What? Are you guys fucking deluded? How do you enforce a ceasefire? Think about it. Just think about it for a second, all right? Okay, right. So the British forces, the British troops have gone in and they are behind the, whatever, the British forces, all 19,000 British soldiers have gone in and they're standing there and they're looking. They've got little binoculars. They're looking all around with their binoculars. Right. If they see a Ukrainian shooting, what are they going to do? Are they going to arrest him? Are they going to shoot him? How are they going to enforce that ceasefire from the Ukrainian side? I'll give you a quick answer, guys, okay? They're not. They're not. What are they going to do? They're not. Stop shooting. No. Please. Nope, I'm not going to stop shooting. All right, that's from this side, all right? Here's the other one, right? Picture this. The British forces, again, behind the Ukrainian forces, now on the front line, and I'm making this as simple as I can. Obviously, there's a lot of caveats and a lot of, nuance. Imagine the Russians start shooting at them. How are the British going to enforce that ceasefire? Are they going to start shooting back at the Russians? Because that's not a ceasefire, that's World War III. You see where we're going with this, guys? There's even the absurdity of saying that you can enforce a ceasefire, it's absurd. It's like saying we're going to shag to prove our virginity. That's what it's like. It's like, yeah, I'm going to prove my virginity by shagging. It makes no sense. It's fucking absurd. Gerald of Riviera says Putin said he would send the Russian police force to arrest the British army. It's all ridiculous, guys. It's all pomp and pageantry. Azov, Nazis started killing Russians living in eastern Ukraine. Okay, right. Okay. So Bandagain, can you tell me when that happened? Bandagain, with all due respect, can you give me a date when that happened, please, buddy? Can you give me a date when that happened, please? When that started? So Bandagain is saying, Azov, which is, so for those of you guys who don't know, the Azov battalions, I think it's spelled with a V. So just quickly, Bandagain, it's spelled A-Z-O-O-O-V. But it doesn't matter. But I know what you mean. Azov started, I can't say that word or I'll get banned. Azov started the unaliving of Russians living in eastern Ukraine, 1,400. Can you tell me when, like the date when that started? Because this is very critical. This is really critical, this, guys. Okay, it's really critical. Okay. So can you give me a date? I know that's a year. But if you ask me when Christmas was, Azov, Azov. Actually, so that's the Cyrillic pronunciation. So Bandagain is saying 2014. If you asked me, listen, guys, if you asked me when it was Christmas and I said to you, Christmas is in 2025, you'd be like, kind of a big window. So Bandagain, can you tell me when this happened, please? In what roughly, just give me a month or a date if you can, when this happened. Because I'm just going to blow everybody's mind real quick. So everybody who's saying 2014, we need a date in 2014. First of all, it's not true. It's absolutely not true. 1 million escaped to Russia for safety. Okay, I get, okay, all right, 1 million, okay. Why? Because I asked. All right. Okay, I'll tell you what happened. I will tell you guys what really happened in Ukraine, okay? I'll tell you guys what really happened in okay? So in Ukraine, 2013, I'm going back to 2013. You're asking me why. I'm going to go back to 2013. In 2013, there was the Euromaidan. All right. So for those of you guys who don't know, Euromaidan was a revolution because the Ukrainians wanted more financial ties to the European Union. That's what it was, guys. There's no arguing about this. That's what it was. Now, you can argue what... I'm not going to get into that, guys. I'm not going to get into that because, we can talk about other things. That was at the end of 2013. At the beginning of 2014, the Russians annexed Crimea. They annexed massive parts of the Donbass. And it was the Russian... that was the first offense. The Russians going into Ukraine. That was the first offense. Everything else has been on a defensive foot. And I don't accept that the Azov battalion were slaughtering masses of like thousands of people. I don't the election overthrow caused by the EU. Okay, so first of all, there was no election overthrow. This was not an election. This was people, students mainly. A lot of them were students who wanted a better life for themselves, and that's it, guys. All right. Ultimately, they wanted a better life for themselves. So, and this is what people do. This is what people do. They change the dates and times of things. They say, "Oh no, that's you guys did this," and you're like, "Whoa, hang on a minute. Look at what actually happened. And the dates don't add up, guys. Okay, the dates don't add up. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are just joining for the first time, we are talking about the World War III warning. Keir Starmer, yes, guys, Keir Starmer is demanding British boots on the ground in Ukraine. Yes, he is. He's absolutely demanding it. This is an article. I'm not making this up, guys. This is not a headline from me. This is from the Telegraph, and I'm not going to lie, guys. I missed this one. Totally went over the top of my head. I may have been drunk. This was from an article from the Telegraph on the 25th of November. Keir Starmer demands British boots on the ground under a Ukraine peace deal. Now, I'm unpacking that a little bit in this live stream, guys, and I'm saying that this is looking back what's previously been said, looking about this article. What they're saying is any peace deal with Russia needs to allow British boots on the ground. Now, what that actually means is, if we look back, they're talking about enforcing a ceasefire. And again, enforcing a ceasefire is just absurd. It does not even make sense. It's so ridiculous. It's unbelievable. But what we already know previously from press releases from the British Secretary of State for Defence, John Healey, he's actually said that they are willing to spend over 100 billion. Is it over 100 billion? Was it over 100 billion or was it 100 million? I can't remember. Regardless, the number was, sorry guys, let me Google this. 100 million. Okay, so this was an article from October 2024, October this year. UK, I will share this with you guys actually, because all these things are adding up. And if you've been watching this live stream and you've been following me, you guys know I've been documenting this. I've been pointing these things out, these little things that seem to go and nobody's listening to them. I'm pointing them out to you and saying, guys, listen to this. They're telling you what's happening. So I will share this with you guys now. I know I've done this before, but I think it's relevant again right now because of what's happened recently. UK is ready to spend over 100 million on possible deployment of British troops to Ukraine. First of all, 100 million is absolutely peanuts. It's peanuts, guys. It's not even a drop in the ocean. It's not even a drop in the ocean when we're talking about a global conflict on an industrial scale. The article, oh, there is that. That's a two-para. I think they're going to Afghanistan. The UK is ready to spend 100 million on a possible deployment of British forces to Ukraine if Donald Trump secures a peace deal with Ukraine, or I'm adding this, or if there is a peace deal with Ukraine. I don't think there is going to be a peace deal at all, guys. I really don't. And one of the main reasons I don't think there's going to be a peace deal for Ukraine, you know, it's because the Russians are taking so much ground. Putin claims Russian army has surrounded Ukraine city, dubbed the gateway to Donetsk. Now, you know, if you're sat in your Putin chair and you're thinking, right, do we agree to a ceasefire or do we just keep taking more ground? I would say you keep taking more ground. This is the situation in Ukraine right now. So this is the town they're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, this town of Pokrovsk. For those of you guys who've been following me, we've been documenting this. We've been documenting this pincer movement here where they come from the north, they come from the south. I can remember, where are we? Let me have a look on the map here. I'm looking for Vuldaher. Where is it? I might not be able to find it. There it is. So I can remember when I remember doing live streams and talking to you guys and saying, yeah, they're doing the pincer movement. They're coming from the north. They're coming from the south. I can. And then they took Vuldaher. And then I can remember this town, this city here. Well, they call it a city. It's a town. Valyeka Novosilka. I can remember saying, yeah, they're coming from the north. They're coming from the south. Yeah, now they've encircled it. Now they've taken it. And look how much ground they've taken since. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have another Ukrainian town about to fall. The town of it's a town, guys. It's not a city. If you live in the United Kingdom, this is a city. It's not a town. So look. The Russians are coming from the north. They're coming from the south. They're encircling the city. And very soon, those guys are going to be going to the candy shop and it's going to be all over for them. I mean, all they need to do realistically is take that road, move over that road, and then they've encircled them. All this bit doesn't matter. Now, the significance of this, and I've been saying this for a long time, the significance of that town of Pokrovsk is because there's nothing now that stops the Russians making it that distance, which is like, what, 130 kilometers or whatever to the River Dnipro. Remember, guys, okay, when you are planning a tactical boundary or a border, you need something physical on the ground, i.e. a big fuck off river, because without a big fuck off river, you've got nothing, because all this area here is literally, all this area is just open farmland. There's nothing there. There's nothing to stop the Russians doing that in like a day. Literally, the Russians could make that ground in one day. The only thing that will slow them down is the Ukrainian weather, and I don't know what it actually. I don't actually know what it is at the moment right now. Anyway, guys, so let's jump onto the chat. I'll jump onto the chat. Let me jump down. Right, Cheer is saying, ain't no town and no city name of another song of the Shitty Ditty. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know what that means, but I'm down with it if you are. All I can say, John Thistlethwaite is saying, all I can say, the lots of I was with forgive our Prime Minister. I don't know what that means. All I can say, the lots of I was with forgive. I'm just going to read the words, guys. I'm just going to read the words, all right? I'm going to read the words. Oh, I can say the lots of I was with forgive. Our Prime Minister, double digits from their fingers right about now, the stupid. I don't know what that means, guys. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. If somebody's handing them out, I'll have one. Ukraine's mineral resources are estimated to be an approximate 15 trillion, making it one of Europe's most resource-rich nations. It doesn't matter if they spend hundreds of billions. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'll not do it on the map. But Ukraine is a massive gas producer. You know, before the war, they were the 7th largest producer of not LPG, gas, basically natural gas. And they have a lot of uranium. You know, they do have a lot of resources there. I agree. And ultimately, guys, all wars are fought over resources, nothing else. Rocketman Gaming, hello, Rocketman Gaming, is saying, say we go to war and the aliens fight. If we win, next they fought for our country, so it's now theirs. Just a thought. What aliens are we talking about here, guys? Because I do love talking about aliens. If we're going down the aliens path, listen, guys, I'm going down. If we're going down the aliens path, I'm going straight. Listen, I will go straight Anunnaki. I will go reptilian overlords. I will listen, guys. Are we going aliens? I'm happy if we're going aliens. But I mean, I would say that if there is a world war, you know, the only thing that aliens wouldn't stop us doing is using nuclear weapons. And I've said this before, and I kind of like, I lose followers every time I say this, but that's you know, honestly, that's what I think, you know. And if if you're sat there and you think that we're alone in the universe, if you guys think we're alone in the universe, we're obviously not. Right, let me just jump down. Jules Cartwright is saying, I think if we go and help Ukraine, it would end badly for us. Yeah. So what I'm at here, guys, is, you know, and I've said this quite a few times, the war in Ukraine, the way NATO is structured, okay. Right, there's a lot of information I need to throw at you guys, and you know, I know a lot of you guys have been following me for a while, so I don't want to rehash old rope. You know, I don't want to rehash old rope, but basically, the two sides of the two sides of these forces. Basically, you've got the Russians, or for you guys, the Russians on this side, who are using conscripts. Now, I did the maths. Check my other videos. I did the maths on this, and I worked out that the Russians can deploy 50 conscripts for every one British troop. Think about that. 50 to 1. That's the deployment. And I get it. I get it. We're looking at these numbers. You know, we're looking at these numbers and you're thinking, oh, the Russians can't sustain this. Let me guys let you into a little secret. They can. All right? Because every Russian citizen is a potential conscript. And when you understand how to use conscripts rather than trained militaries, warfare becomes totally different. So here in the West, every general, colonel, brigade commander, air vice marshal, they're all blinkered. They're all blinkered on how to fight a war. And what they do, they tell the politicians, they go and back brief the politicians. They say, hey, mate, Kia, this is what we're going to do, mate. This is what we're going to do. But what they don't understand is, imagine this. Imagine this. You say to 1,000 young Russian lads, right, you lot, do you want to pillage your way through Poland, stealing, taking whatever you want? What do you think they're going to say? Like, what do you think they're going to say? Say that to some poor Russian guys who've grown up very, with hardly anything in their lives, and they're looking at Europe, how rich Europe are, and oh, you guys are disgusting. I want to take it. I want to take it. And here's another question. All these politicians and these legal companies and these legal firms and these barristers, what's his name? Ahmed Yaqub. I love Ahmed. I do, guys. I love Ahmed Yaqub. I think I get on with him. I do. I think I like him. The guy, he's like is he from Birmingham? He's from Birmingham, and he's the Muslim solicitor, and he always says, remember, for every offense, there's a defense. You're feeling me one time, bro. I see the marketing, guys. I see the marketing. I see it. But all these people that hide behind their little pieces of paper, those little pieces of paper are only underwritten by the strength of your military. So when the gates are open, or when the enemies are at the gates, I'll tell you this now, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you this for free. Those little bits of paper and those laws, they're not going to mean anything. Don Ronnie is saying Zelensky is under investigation for corruption. Guys, listen, I told you this was coming. I don't know if you guys were on it when I don't know if you guys can remember me saying it like last week or something. I don't know if people said it. I've been kind of off on a side quest. So like a couple of weeks ago, I told you guys, I came on a live stream and I said, listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's a scandal about to break in Ukraine. It could bring down Zelensky. And then here we are. This is to do with the energy sector, guys. It's to do with the energy sector. That's where we'll go. Helen is saying, thought you in about the dead terrorist. Guys, is everybody drunk today? Is it literally, right, guys, is everybody drunk today? Because if they are, I'm going to get more drunk. Like, is everybody drunk today? Because, like, you guys are putting questions on here, and I have no idea what these mean. Thought you in about a chimed the dead. I don't know what that means. But whoever's drinking, guys, whoever's drinking, just put your hands up and agree. That everybody's drunk. Exactly. So there's been a global ammunition shortage for a long time. That's why the implementation of drones happened. They didn't implement drones because the Ukrainians didn't start using drones because they were better than artillery. The Ukraine started using drones because they didn't have any artillery. And if you introduce artillery with serviced barrels and good ammunition, you don't need drones. Debris, do not get me started on this. Guys, don't get me started on this. I was working on a deal in Ukraine for three wells, refurbishing 3 wells, and then Hunter Biden came in, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only. He came in and the fucking deal went. I think I'd have had my castle by now. Maybe it's a cloud in the silver lining because I'd have had to pay the 2 million, the 2 million thing. The charge of the tank brigade, V2, doesn't sound appealing to us, folks. No, I think it's the charge. Was it not the charge of the light brigade? It was the charge of the light brigade. No, it doesn't sound appealing to anyone, actually. Me least of all. All and every war game with Russia and Europe and the UK, Russia wins. It's a numbers game, guys. It is an absolute numbers game. Listen, guys, I'm just conscious of the time. Without the United States, NATO cannot win the Russians. They can't. Without the United States, NATO cannot win the Russians. They can't. That's the reality. It's a numbers game. It's an absolute numbers game. Now, do you know what? I just thought of something. I used to give So I used to give an example. I need to revise this example now because more of it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're on for the first time, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification down below. Whatever platform you're watching on, whether you guys are watching on YouTube, X, or we're on Twitch as well. We're streaming on Twitch. We are streaming. I don't even know how that thing works, guys. I think I'm going to add Rumble as well tomorrow. So listen, guys. The example I used to give, and if you're on for the first time and you've not heard this, just hear me out because I'm going to revise this, okay? I used to give the example, all right? I used to give the example, and you know what? I'm going to keep the example because I'm going to keep the example. So I used to give I give the example. If you want to, if you're new to the channel or you don't really understand what's happening, you see tanks and bombs and guns and planes and trains and automobiles, you don't really know what's going on. Let me ask you guys this question, all right? 2 football teams. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? 2 football teams. One of them is the best football team. I'm going to try and rush through this. One of them is the best football team the world has ever seen. You've got the best football players from any timeline. I wouldn't be involved because I'm useless. I've got 2 left feet. Any timeline, you get the best players. You give them the best food, the best equipment, the best training, the best physical conditioning, everything. The best kit and equipment. You get the best 11 football players. That's the NATO team, right? They're ready. They're there. They're doing the kick-ups. They're doing press-ups. They've got all. They're brilliant. They're the best team the world's ever produced. The team that are going to oppose them, i.e., the Russians, they come out the changing room and some of them have got shorts on, some of them have got jeans, some of them are wearing suits, some of them are wearing trainers, some of them are wearing shoes. Some of them have kicked a football. Some of them have not. Some of them have just finished work. Some of them are fat. Some of them are thin. Some of them are tall. Some of them are short. But there's 1,000 of them. All right? Yeah? But there's 1,000 of them. Okay? So they're the 2 teams. Who's got the best team? Well, yeah, it's fucking NATO team. They've got the best players. Oh, the best. They're the best. They're the very, very best. Of those 2 teams, which team is going to put the football in the back of the net more times? Well, it's obviously the 1,000. Do you know why? Because there's 1,000 of them. Right. It's purely a numbers game, guys. It is purely a numbers game. And people don't understand that. And Band again is saying, that's Millwall. You fucking slag. Come here, Millwall. Where's fucking Millwall? I had a section commander who was he was Millwall. He used to love Millwall. Raven, can we have a Raven 2-hour special over Christmas with all the teams having bottoms up? I don't know what that means, but I'm up for it. I mean, what does that mean? A 2-hour? Yeah, whatever. We'll do a 2-hour special over Christmas. When you want it? When you want it if we're having bottoms up? Can I get a bet on Russia at the bookies? And again, another thing that people don't really understand is the way that the Russians are going to be fighting. The Russians are not going to be fighting in these, in these formations, whereby you say, right, we need an infantry platoon at the front, 2 infantry platoons in support. They're not going to be doing that. They're just going to be saying, right, lads, go that way. Pillage your way through Europe, take whatever you want. How do you fucking deal with that? Like, how do you deal with that when people, when you've got like, I don't know, 500 Russians pillaging a supermarket? How do you deal with that? Literally, how do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal with that? And they're running out with like Adidas, like all Adidas clothes and Gucci sunglasses on. Because that's where we're going. That is where we're going. So, right, let me jump on this, guys. Hang on. Okay, so I'm jumping onto this now, guys, on Glasgow Live. I will share this with you. I'm going to share this with you in real time, guys. I don't know what this is. Thank you for that, Stephen. We've got breaking news now coming from Glasgow. I hope it's nobody's head fell off again. Right, not that one. Right, I'll share this with you guys. This is from Glasgow Live. I don't know what this is. I've not read it. I'm just going to read it with you guys now in real time. Glasgow emergency services respond after city centre incident. Local scene, 2 police cars, 2 ambulances in the busy city centre. Exact details of the disturbance are yet unknown. Okay, first of all, 2 cars and 2 ambulances is not that big. Incident of unknown nature. Okay, so it does sound suspicious, actually. The incident of unknown nature has taken place in Glasgow city centre tonight. Several emergency vehicles have been spotted on West Nile Street and Gordon Street. I'm sure that was where the bus hit the person. Locals reported seeing 2 police cars, 2 ambulances on the scene. Sorry, guys, I'm just looking on the mainstream now. Let me look on X. Give me a second. Let me look on X. I'll look on X and I'll try and I'll see if I can get any lowdown from X, because X usually gives the better information. Give me a second, guys. Okay, so I don't know if you can hear the bells. Right, so I'm getting nothing on X. That's weird. Nothing on X. Only from what Glasgow Live said. No, nothing. That's weird. So there's nothing on X. We're only getting it from Glasgow Live. I don't know. It could be something. It could be nothing. I will keep people informed, though, guys. I will. If that develops into something, I'll let people know. Right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have... Yeah, guys, I'm sorry I was frozen. It's because I was messing about with the swizzles. So are we getting an attack up and down the country? Wake up, people. This Islamic war on British culture. Listen, it's very difficult to, it will be very difficult to argue with that. I think that's, I think that's right. Listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. I want to give you guys, I'm just going to run through real quick the crux of this live stream. This is a World War III warning. Keir Starmer has been demanding British boots on the ground in Ukraine. Now, again, that's not, that's not my headlines. That was a headline from I think it was the Telegraph. Was it the Telegraph? Yeah, that was a headline from the Telegraph on the 25th of, and again, I did miss this, on the 25th of this month. So what they're saying is that Keir Starmer saying any ceasefire in Ukraine, they need British boots on the ground to enforce that ceasefire. You guys know how absurd I think that is. You can't enforce a ceasefire. It just doesn't make any sense, guys. It makes no sense. We've been talking about conscription coming to the United Kingdom. If you guys have been following my previous live streams, I've given the date of the that. And again, I need to, I think it's not going to be called conscription. It's going to be the context of mandatory military service or else, that way they don't have to go through any human rights laws. But listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. Crazy things happening. We're heading towards World War III. We've got World War IV on our streets. Remember, guys, okay, we've got World War III and World War IV. They are going to be fought simultaneously. World War III is going to be the international conflicts in Ukraine, in Europe, in the Middle East with Iran and America. And then we've got World War IV that's going to be fought on the streets. I'm talking about civil war. I'm talking about asymmetric warfare. I'm talking about non-conventional warfare. I'm talking about the things likes of people have never seen before. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. Thank you for hanging out with me this evening. If you've not done so already, hit the buttons down below on YouTube or wherever you're watching. I will be back on tomorrow morning at 10, and I'll give people an update on what's happened in what's been happening in Glasgow. If something more comes out on that, I may even jump down and do another live stream. Anyway, guys, I bid you good evening.